Today we're talking about Jim Varney with Justin Lloyd.
You know, Vern, this must be some kind of a cigarette lighter.
Also, be sure to check out Justin's book, The Importance of Being Earnest. Love the pun on that.
I actually mentioned that in my book. Jim had once joked about wanting to buy that castle.
I do remember that now.
A Victorian era tea party on the front lawn.
It really brought back memories. I had actually I had forgotten about the commercials.
The news from the news leader. Oh, what am I? Varna!
I want to give a special shout out to Jim Varney's portrayal of Jed Clampett.
And all women know happiness is hard to find.
Excuse me?
4, 3, 2, 1.
Cue music.
Very well. You asked for it. After all, I am Ernest P. Worrell, Electro Man.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Be Kind. Let's Rewind, the nostalgia podcast no one asked for. Today, we're talking about Jim Varney, a.k.a. Ernest, with Justin Lloyd. His nephew is coming on to give us an interview. I can't wait for this. Also, be sure to check out Justin's book, The Importance of Being Earnest. Love the pun on that. Guys, first time you guys remember seeing Ernest or hearing about Ernest, let's go, man. I got to say, me and you, Leaf, back in the day, all the time to the movie theater, man, right?
Dude, like constantly, like we grew up with Ernest, man. Like his comedy, like I remember seeing him on commercials too, though. And I know we'll talk about that, but dude, he's just a fixture from my childhood.
Like I remember our parents always, if it was a new Ernest movie, our parents were all freaking over it, man. Shadow, what about you?
Yeah, I had actually forgotten about the commercials.
Yeah, me too, until I read the book. But
yeah, I listened to the audiobook, and like as he was describing it, like I had these images like popping back in my head. You know?
Same here. Yeah,
but the big one for me was Ernest Goes to Camp.
That was the first one, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
But that one was on TV all the time. I guess I think we found out in the book that was a Disney property, and all that. So of course, like, you know, they're gonna have it everywhere all the time, maximize money. But those movies were just fun, dude. That character was everything that was pure. Like it was just, you know, slapstick galore, which I freaking love. Even to this day, I still love some slapstick, baby.
What I don't understand though, speaking of Disney, like I pay them so much money every month for the Antichrist bundle.
Yes.
And I still can't watch Ernest Goes to Camp.
Yeah, well, they want you to pay more, I think, is what it is. Just, you have to
show me the option.
Well, the option is for you to go.
We did it.
That looks frosty.
Yeah, that does look frosty, man. So before we get into the interview, decided to reach into the fridge. Some of Sam Adams Oktoberfest. Man,
this is so nice.
I love a cold Oktoberfest when it's cold outside. So just anyway, big fan of the Oktoberfest and when it's cold this time of year. Leaf, what do you got, man?
Man, it's so good, dude. I'm also warming up with a little bit of this is just whiskey. Like this is just Jim Beam. I get really face when I find out I have to pay money, dude. That's
Classic Leaf.
That's all it is.
Chadwick, what do you got?
Well, I don't know why you guys are both lying. We're in the South, and I think it was 75 degrees here today. So so I'm breaking back out the summer shandy.
You had some left over.
When this airs in December, I was hoping that maybe we'll have a little bit of a nip outside. So a little bit of a nip, and
like a Lane's Christmas card.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of a nip, man.
Here's your Christmas card.
Anyway, want to shout out our new rewinder of the month for December, Neve. Thank you so much. Swag en route, always reaching out to us on Instagram. Actually, Shadwick,
really appreciate it.
Talking about you on Instagram, because when Neve was listening to our ghost stories, sent me a message, was like, man, something went crazy with wife's tracking. Like the wife's on the couch and the phone was going crazy. Like the wife's going somewhere else or something. And I was like, Shadwick has an attachment. I wasn't aware that could go across audio podcasts, but I guess it can. So
Wait,
and I was like,
our viewers.
That's weird, man. I felt like this sense of relief, like something left.
So good luck with that.
Good luck with
everybody
that,
else.
Dave. But anyway, thanks for real.
Maybe we'll get rid of it in 35 years or so.
Took Shadwick a while. So anyway, for real, thank you so much. Hopefully you've gotten your swag. And guys, don't forget, go buy some merch, man. Got new shirts up. Got the hoodie we talked about the last couple of weeks. It's cold. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Hopefully, by the time this airs, you won't need a summer shandy. So,
I really think they should rename this Summer Shaddy.
Yeah,
oh my God, dude.
Give him some money for the love of God, man.
Please.
So, all right, guys. With that, let's go ahead and take it over to our interview with Justin Lloyd to talk about his book, The Importance of Being Earnest. All right, guys, we have Justin Lloyd here with us, the author of this wonderful book, The Importance of Being Earnest. Audiobooks out on Audible. Did that just come out this year, Justin?
Yeah, just maybe about 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think
September.
I think that's what came across my radar. But you know, author of the book, you are Jim Varney's nephew, correct?
Yes, actually, one of two. This is the only one crazy enough to take on writing a book and becoming his official biographer, or whatever you want to call me. Yeah,
right. It's awesome book, and we'll get into that, man. But let's find out a little bit about you, man. So are you currently in Kentucky? Is that where you live?
Yeah, born and raised in Lexington.
Nice.
And then I moved to Versailles. They pronounce it Versailles here in Kentucky.
There's no Versailles.
Yeah, and there's like 5 other Versailles in the United States, and they're all pronounce it Versailles. But it's just west of Lexington. Born and raised.
I'm sorry. Is Versailles? Is that where the castle is? In Kentucky?
Yeah. Yes.
I've always wanted to go see that.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I actually mentioned that in my book. Jim had once joked about wanting to buy that castle.
Okay.
I'll do that.
I do remember that now.
A Victorian era tea party on the front lawn. And I mean, the castle, it's on a busy road anyway. A lot of people look at and I'm thinking, that's going to really cause a pileup having, Jim Varney having a tea party on the front lawn.
Dude,
and that's why we laughed so hard, because we could have totally seen him do that if he bought it.
Yeah, I could see him in character, like with a little bell.
Exactly. We can just picture it right there. Yeah.
So we talked a little bit before we went on air, man. You got 3 daughters, correct?
Yes.
So family, man, lugging them around to all the coaching things, all the parenting funness that is that. Yep. So we really appreciate you taking this time
my pleasure.
Talk to 3 degenerates in our mid 40s about our childhood, so we can dump some trauma on you, man.
Man, we're excited for
this. Let's get into exactly. Is this the only book that you have written?
Yeah. It was. He passed in 2000, and it was about 2008 that I thought about. I was online and stuff and seeing all kinds of things about Jim, especially like on YouTube, and seeing comments about people growing up with him and their memories of him and all that stuff. And I thought, I almost felt a sense of obligation, because I'm like, gosh, I know a lot about him, and I could probably really put together something really comprehensive because me being in the family and knowing people that I could talk to. And I thought, I may be one of the few people that could really maybe take on something like this and do it justice. And I had just made up my mind that I was going to do that, especially with the fact that how self-publishing was really coming on then.
Right.
And knowing that I had a path to make it happen. I wouldn't have to do all this work and then wait for an agent to give me a yes or no. That I was like, no matter what, I could self-publish it, however it is. And so that was, that made it very enticing then, feeling like it was doable, so yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And this one came out in 2013, is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
2013. Yeah.
do you also walk around your house and let your family know, like, hey, no big deal, but I'm a published author?
Yeah, I don't want to brag.
There's this wonderful line. I don't know if you've ever seen the Showtime series, The Affair, with Dominic. What is his name from The Wire? But in the show, I guess he's a writer. But his father-in-law is like a really established writer who's written bunches of things, and he's guys. The father-in-law is very full of himself, and at one point they're sitting down, and he says to Dominic's character, he says, anybody can write one book, but hardly anybody can write two. And of course, he'd written like dozens.
Yeah, right.
And I joke to people, I'm like, I like to play that scene to myself whenever I start to get a big head. I love it. Yeah. There's one picture of him that I posted before where he's posing in a white shirt, and he looks very much like Jim in this picture, like the cover of my book. They look like,
wow. From when you had the idea of like, okay, man, I'm going to do this book on my uncle, how long did that process take? Like how many, because we've had a couple authors on here, and I mean, sometimes it's like decades to get stuff done.
It took a long time. It took like 5.5 years, the writing and the research, all of it together. It was about 2.5 years into it that I living so close to Lexington, I went, there's a place called the Carnegie Center for Literacy and Learning in Lexington. And they're just a really good writing and resource place. And they paired me with a mentor.
Cool.
Her name was Leslie Gutman, and she was an author, and she had done a lot of stuff through the years. And she had published a book, a nonfiction book. So she was a great person to pair me with. And then she became my editor. She was just awesome. And was I mean, I talked to her about just like everything. She was the one who really convinced me to use the cover photo of the book, and that was a huge decision right there. There was a few that I was thinking about. But anyway,
I'm glad you went with that picture, though.
Yeah, me too.
It shows a completely different side of him that that doesn't really resonate with me.
To me, it captures the book more than if you had just done like I mean, you probably get more clicks with the Ernest picture, or whatever, as they say in the social media stuff.
Of course. And it was one of those things too, where it was like such a nice, unique picture, though. It's like, are people going to recognize that that's Jim? But of course, with the name of the book, with Ernest, and then even the little the title, it's even stuff Vern doesn't even know, that will help drive home Ernest, when the picture could maybe really throw you off, because you're like, wait, is that Jim Varney? That was my fear, is like, it's a great picture, but are people going to know that that's Jim at all?
Right.
So,
did you get any pushback on that title, since it's obviously a play on words with the Oscar Wilde play?
Right, of course. Yeah, right. No, and I think that was the thing too. And she's like, you've got to use that as the title. I mean, it just, and there's so many, if you read, it's obvious too, there's so many magazine articles through the years that use that same title, of course, for him. I don't even know, probably some TV, the spotlights on him too, doing using that as well. But yeah, it was just very obvious. And I just thought later on, because I wanted it to be so comprehensive, that I thought, even stuff Vern doesn't even know. And she thought that was funny and clever.
No, that's good. Yeah. That kind of brings it home,
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about the audiobook process, because Leaf is a voiceover actor. Yeah. And so he's been in the studio, man. Leaf, take it away on the voiceover stuff.
I've done a lot of freelance voiceover acting. Okay. So I just wanted to inquire about your process of, do it with, like, when did you do, like, a lot of authors choose like voiceover actors to do it for them. They don't like their voice. Like, what was your process with?
My process was just, we're working on a documentary about
Can't wait.
And so it was a couple of years ago, we were in Nashville, and the person that they brought on to do the sound, I had mentioned to him, I was like, I've been thinking about doing an audiobook. And I know there's some studios in Lexington where you can rent and time and all this stuff. And of course, he was like, well, I can just tell you some equipment to buy and you can do it yourself. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. And that was great advice, because really I had to really, I needed to practice. Like I did that. I set it up in my closet that I'm right next to, and I read through it, and I mean, it was difficult, and I didn't think it would be easy. I mean, you think maybe reading your own book wouldn't be that hard,
right?
But I guess, as you know, is like trying to do everything, like enunciating, and just everything. And also, like, I know you're trying to be yourself, but like, what if being yourself, you mumble a lot though? Like, you know, I mean, like being yourself. So I read through it, the whole thing. It took me a year.
Wow.
And then I'm like, I've improved so much. I was like, I've got to read. I mean,
you got to redo it.
Yeah, it really, it was two things. I'm like, I've improved a lot, and then it's not real consistent. I'm like, and I didn't want to, but I'm like, I got to read through it a second time. And that's what I did. And it took me a whole nother year. And It just took me that long, really. It was really the hardest thing I think I've ever done. I mean, it was very, very, but I would have, like, I really was at certain times thinking like it'd be great to just hire somebody, you know?
Yeah.
Like I was thinking like a person, like probably like a male actor that was older with kind of a Southern drawl would be cool, you know?
Yeah.
But I thought, but the one thing I thought though, other than, you know, saving money, is that there's definitely value in the fact that I'm the author. I'm also Jim's nephew. There are a few passages in there where I'm speaking in first person, which is really, you know, nice to listen. So I thought, if I'm decent, then I think it's worth me doing, just for the value of it being, you know, all those things. Like I said, the me being the author and Jim's nephew. And I think really people would prefer that, as long as they're not terrible. And I thought, you know, I thought I was decent. And that's been the thing about reading these audio book reviews, because I feel pretty confident in the book itself. It's like on Amazon, it's gotten great reviews for years, and I'm appreciative of that. And that's great. And I thought, well, I just know from 12 years that people really have liked the book. But now I feel like the main thing to look out for is how are they going to think about the narration? You know, it's like,
right.
And like, would I have hired myself as a narrator? I think well, I think about this too. I grew up, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. You know, Jerry Jones is the general manager and the owner, you know, like, you know, he hires himself as the general manager, right? Like, would he hire, if he was another owner, would he have hired himself, right? I felt like that kind of thing. Would I have hired, you know, myself if I was somebody else?
Right.
How old are you?
How old am I? I'm 53.
Okay, so you grew up during the Cowboys and the 49ers dynasties.
We're 49ers fans.
Yeah, Chris,
the Dwight Clark catch.
Yeah, dude.
I went severe depression as a 10-year-old.
Throwing in the end zone.
No.
Oddly enough, my uncle got me to be a 49ers fan. He lived out in San Francisco, and so when I was, you know, young, we're all in our mid 40s, so we were born like basically in 80. So I mean, we're all in the same zip code. But on as far as the audiobook goes, though, man, that's how I actually found this book. I wasn't aware of it, and I'm on Audible because me and Shadwick always joke on this podcast we can't read because we listen to so many audiobooks. We got long commutes, so it just, you know, makes a commute go by. And dude, it was a great find, though. I was just like, I had no clue, because we are actually from Chattanooga, Tennessee, which I want to get into a little bit later, because, you know, you mentioned Chattanooga in the book.
Right.
And that I was just like, holy crap, like this dude Jim was all that is the South, you know, which is just great.
Especially Kentucky and Tennessee. He was all over the place for a number of years there, you know, and doing regional theater and all that. So, when
Chris mentioned that he had contacted you about doing this interview, I went ahead and started listening to the audiobook, and I'm glad that I did that instead of like starting to look up like videos or anything of Jim, because it really brought back memories. I had actually I had forgotten about the commercials.
Hey, Vern,
Whew, it sure is hot up here, Vern. I bet you'd like a cold, smooth mellow yellow right now, wouldn't you? Yeah, I just bet you would.
My first memory was Ernest Goes to Camp. But then just like listening to you like talk about, the wind, his fingers just being smashed in the window and him falling off the ladder. I was like, I remember that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I think a lot of people also felt like he was local. I think in interviews he never gave his actual location, right? I thought that was really interesting because I thought he was a local guy.
Yeah.
They were so astute at catching on to things, because of the budget. They shot them all starting out at John Cherry's house, and they didn't have enough money for another actor. The cameraman became the Vern, and these were all things that worked so well, actually, and so when they caught on to the fact that people thought he was from their hometown, and they kind of kept quiet about where they were shooting the commercials. And because they had such a local look and feel to them, of course, you're in California or Texas, Oklahoma. Right. You're like, well, that's a local commercial. Look at that. It looks like all the other local commercials in that market.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so they weren't trying to fool people. It was just like that was their budget, but it worked so well because you've got the trust, right? You've got that, like, this is a local person. This is not some out of town outfit you don't trust. No, it's not a slick, big marketing campaign. And all those things worked so well. And they were very smart at like just keeping that going and knowing what worked well. Yeah.
I do want to plug. We'll of course continue to plug this throughout the podcast. But what I liked about the book is the book has images and pictures. Obviously, you're not going to get from the audiobook. But what I liked about the audiobook is you added these bonus interviews at the end. And by the way, as guys that are sound snobs, thanks for the apology before to be like, hey, the sound quality is going to be a little bit different. And I was like, I would have done the same thing. Like, you can't even really notice. It's not even that dramatically different. You'd obviously sweetened it up. But I just thought that I was like, oh, that's kind of funny because that's what I would do too. I'd be like, this isn't perfect sound, but those interviews were so cool. And who was the first interview with? The guy that was friends with Johnny Cash. Totally.
Lonnie Hutchins.
That's
Lonnie Hutchins. Yeah.
But that was just so great for you to include that as this bonus. Like that just took you to another place and introduced you to the process you went through.
Yeah, I mean, he was somebody that had agreed to do the documentary. And he's somebody I've known about for years, and I'm sorry that I never actually interviewed him for my book. And I was like, I don't know at this point if we're going to be able to interview him for the documentary. But like, so I'm like, I want to get him for the audiobook. I was man, I know he's in that I literally interviewed him like weeks before the audiobook was done. I mean, I drove down there to Gallatin and interviewed him and just took this like small little microphone things you put on your
little pedal mics.
And got that and edited it pretty much myself and then the guy that I told you, the sound guy on the documentary, he's was the engineer, the sound engineer from Audiobook. So he helped me, put it all together. He did a wonderful job because I mean, it was a bunch of parts. I mean, just he put together, it was all recorded over a year. And
That's
I mean,
crazy.
I think so I tried to make it as consistent as possible, but like, when I had a cold or I wouldn't record too early in the day because my voice would be deeper the first few hours I was awake and all this kind of stuff. I mean, so, but anyway, that including that was great. The speeches from the memorial, Dan Butler's speech in chapter 25. I mean, that speech, I say in my book, I'm like, that motivated me to write the book because I'm like, I want my book to be like that speech. I want it to be funny and touching and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. And I was, when I asked him, I'm like, can I put the actual audio? Are you okay with me putting it in the audio book? Because I think that would be a cool thing for people to all of a sudden. It's great because I didn't even realize at the time when you're listening, all of a sudden it's the speech and it's like it just puts you right in the story.
Oh, dude.
Because that's from a video. So I'm sitting in there in the audience with the video camera, and I'm sitting beside my mom, and so you can hear her laughing and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like you're right there in the audience, like listening to the speech and hearing everybody around it.
It reminded me of the old church tapes, like they used to record back in the day. They would record the cassette tape and take it to people that couldn't go to church or the elderly, like so that I used to help with those sometimes back in the day. But it reminded me of that, where you can hear the acoustics of the environment. You can hear, like you said, your mom laughing. But also, I was listening to that on the way to work, got to work, and then walked in all puffy-eyed. And just told everybody that I'll be like, oh no, my wife left me. Don't worry, it wasn't over an audiobook.
Okay, that's great.
Nothing serious.
And then John Cherry's speech was great too, and I added that as a bonus because they were all great. His was really good too, and it told some great things about Jim, especially about the actors that would come on the set and be kind of blown away by Jim. That was really something to hear. He said, every single one was like, I had no idea he was so good, and that was really powerful.
Now John passed away in 2022, I think.
It's been a few years. Had Parkinson's for like the last 10 years of his life.
So does his company, is it Carden and Cherry?
Carden and Cherry, that was the advertising firm.
Do they still own the I guess the rights to the character?
His kids do. Mainly, there's I think there's 3 kids total, and it's Josh is the main one that we've been working with, and he's been great. He's the oldest son, and he's just about my age. He's just a little bit, like, not even a year older than me. So we've become pretty close in the last few years.
Oh, nice.
And that's been great. And so, and he's been very generous in letting us use things for the documentary, pictures and things. I have a lot of stuff at my house where I've been scanning and all this that he's let us use.
Well, speaking of that, when is there a release date, or what is the process looking like now?
There isn't. It's in post, basically in post production now. We just came out with a teaser trailer a couple
great teaser trailer by the way.
You know, Vern, when you're looking for film magic, talk to your old buddy Ernest first. Know what I mean? Hey, that's it.
Yeah, and so I will tell you this. I couldn't say this for a little while. Billy Bob Thornton's going to be in the.
Let's go.
And, exactly.
That's fantastic.
So that's in my notes. I wanted to talk about him because I love Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah. And he's going to be in it. And I interviewed him myself, and that was awesome. I'd met him before because he tours with that Boxmasters group that, he has a band. And I got like a backstage thing where I was able to get backstage and meet him a couple times, and that was cool. So I'd met him before, so he knew of me and so forth, and I'd given him a copy of my book before and stuff. So that was really cool. We got some great stuff from him.
That's
so
awesome,
I'm like super excited about that. So we're working on something else to preview a trailer with that coming up in the near future for sure to show that.
I just got to think, like when I was going through the book, I was thinking to myself, like, this is the perfect template for a documentary is begging to be made out of this book, about his life.
I tell you, it's funny, you've got Ken Burns
that's what I was
on now. He was a big influence on me because how like when Ken Burns does something, it's done. And that was kind of my approach to the book. I'm like, I want to just be exhaustive. I'm going to just, when I would get on Google, I joke, but I would go like 50 pages deep with searching. I would just go and go. I joke like I went to the end of Google and back, and I did. I was in doing so, I really was able to have some very lucky breaks, and one of those was finding Joe Lyles, who was really the biggest interviewee I think I had. He was absolutely to telling the kind of story that I wanted to about Jim, that you're probably talking about, that would reflect the cover picture. Him in his 20s in California, getting signed to William Morris, all of that period from high school on to right before he became Ernest. That was an integral part of his whole career and life. And nobody knew it like Joe. I mean, like a whole decade of my book of that is Joe Lyles. But anyway,
that's I don't know. Again, I can't wait for of course we're in our mid 40s, so all we do is watch documentaries. So
that was me. I mean, I'm a movie guy. I don't read because if I could, if that would have been what I would started out doing, is the documentary, but it just didn't have the resources and all that. Right. And the book was the thing that I could take on. But I don't. That's a funny thing. I don't really read much at all. I do like some nonfiction, but I love documentaries, and that was one of the main. The only other person I'll mention is Malcolm Gladwell. The way he can make anything interesting, right? And I don't know if you've ever read much Malcolm Gladwell. That also, he was also kind of an influence in the because you think nonfiction, like sometimes it can be boring, or like you can't really maybe put your own spin on things or make it, but it's like, I mean, I tried to make it as interesting as I could, and not make it like just a big book of facts. That was
Well, you told a story, and it was chronological, and that's what. It's easier to follow. You didn't Quentin Tarantino Pulp Fiction it, where I was like, wait, what year are we in?
Right.
Right. So for the film, is it just? When you mentioned Billy Bob, is that going to just be in interview capacity, or are you doing any kind of reenactments or anything with actors?
No, it's all pretty much just interviews. We got pretty much everybody that we were able to interview with from our book. Unfortunately, Joe Lyles passed away shortly after my book came out. Excuse me. We were able to interview the person that played the Vern character, Jim May. I should say the Vern character. He was the cameraman that was essentially was Vern. Right. He passed just like a year or so ago, but we got an interview. Yeah, actually, he's in the trailer. You'll see him in the trailer.
Yeah, the trailer was great.
So there's been a few people that have passed. Since my book was released, and a couple since have been filming the documentary. But we were able to go back and re-interview the people I interviewed for my book, and it did a much better job than I did. I mean, it's great to be able to sit down with them. Yeah. And some new people as well. So many people from the Nashville area, because Nashville was really Ernest's home, and then Lexington was Jim's home. So all the family and friends are up here in Lexington, and then all of the Ernest people are down in Nashville. Right. And people have been very generous and very open, and we've got some great, like over 30 hours of stuff we've got. So
do you have a lot of like family pictures or videos that we've not seen?
Oh, yeah. There's some pictures that I've never shown that I mentioned in my book where Jim had like a nose job. I don't think he explicitly called a procedure, on his nose. And this was in 1972. Wow. So you think about having a nose procedure, nose job in 1972, I guess my dad took pictures of him afterwards, and he's got like his nose covered and his face is kind of puffy. Mm-hmm. So we've got like three pictures of him that to some would look kind of gratuitous, and we thought about maybe putting one in the trailer, but we didn't. But those. Stuff like that, some, and I've posted, as you've seen maybe on Twitter and stuff through the years on Facebook. I mean, I've had a Facebook page longer than the book's been out. I saw the other day, my Facebook page started in 2011. Wow. So I've been posting tons of stuff, but there's still stuff from John Cherry's stuff, Ernest stuff that we've never put online. We have a whole behind the scenes tape. Somebody on the crew, it's 2 hours of behind the scenes of Ernest Scared Stupid, just like a video thing.
Dude, can't wait for that. Yeah.
We did it, Rimshot. We got it. I am Troll Fighter #1.
I mean, trust me, I can't wait more than you will. I mean, I'm so excited because, I mean, yeah.
Well, spoiler alert, that's Chris and I's like favorite like Ernest film of that was of all time. We were into that one. We obviously, Chris and I grew up together. We lived in the same neighborhood.
But that's just because you like Mother's Miak so much.
Exactly.
Dude, I've got to ask you this. So you have a different experience obviously than all of us because none of our uncles were famous. How old were you when you finally like realized like, hey, Uncle Jim is kind of a big deal?
Yeah.
Like when did that finally hit home?
He's different.
Well, what was interesting is because I was probably finding out he was a big deal, but also just finding out more about him, period, as a person, because I wasn't around him much until maybe the early 80s when I was getting close to like 9 and 10 years old. Like there's pictures of us around Christmas when I was like 5 or 6, but I probably didn't even remember like, who is this person? Is he, is he an uncle? Is he like somebody's cousin? Like, it probably wasn't until I was maybe 10 that I really, okay, this is my mom's brother. And there was in Lexington, there was a convenient food mart, is the convenient stores around this area. And we would see convenient commercials with my uncle on them.
Vern, everybody's in there cashing checks. The express lane's backed up way up past ground beef, and you had to park way over there in the lower 40, you know what I mean? Convenient food mart, Vern. How about a black top omelet, know what I mean?
I'm about 10 or 11 then. And so that was really cool. That's when we started seeing the Ernest character. And then in 84, he did that family album, that like 1 hour special where he's playing the different characters.
And here it is, the Ernest P. Worrell family album. Do I look like I have stupid written all over my face?
They were really smart. They played it in the markets where the commercials were airing. And so it did really good. And so it was also to kind of push the Ernest character and all that. And Jim probably thought that playing those different characters, he would maybe get seen by Hollywood. And and so I remember seeing like him do those characters, and I could really, and then I'm like, oh, like, yeah, this is Jim.
We'll come in low. Keeping the morning sun in his eyes. Dazzling the dumb ape with aerial acrobatics not seen since the Sea of Chateau.
It just blew me away, some of those characters, and he could do all these different accents and so forth. And it really blew me away. And that's when I really realized, like, oh, okay, this is quite a talented.
Did you also go to school and then be like, "Hey, Timmy, is your uncle famous? Because my uncle's famous. My uncle's on TV. I was wondering if yours was on TV."
Chip. I think it was just, I don't know. I think it was just so surreal that I don't know. I couldn't even.
I would have been flaunting that all over school. I'd be like, every girl I had a crush on, I'd be like, Ernest, kind of my uncle. So,
I mean, like,
I'll see you at the swing set, honey.
And today, too, back then you didn't have cell phones where you could just show somebody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Did you catch the commercial? Right?
Yeah, exactly, man.
I mean, back then, you think about a commercial would come on, you'd be like, "Hey, come here, Jim's on TV," and then it's like it's gone.
Yeah. That's
so it's like. Yeah,
that's still got to be crazy. Part of this book that I loved. Again, we talked about early on. You kind of get him growing up. We talk about the asthma a little bit, and then you talk about him deciding he wants to be an actor and just going for it, man. Like, I can't tell you how many things that I wanted to be as a kid that I just didn't go for. And here we sit on a podcast now. So
it doesn't matter how much you try, you'll never be a werewolf.
Yeah, well, I wanted to be a dinosaur really bad, but it just wasn't in the, couldn't do the arm thing.
You didn't try enough.
But when he goes off, and did you sit down and talk with him about, did he ever tell you about like how he got in the biz, or, the school stuff or any of that?
No, I mean, I think a lot of that was really talking to Joe Lyles,
right?
Because we would hear, bits and pieces of things through the years, like things like, oh, Jim, that is it the Murdoch character on A-Team, like that Jim would try out for that or almost had that role.
Wow.
And we heard stuff about Johnny Cash that like, and I was able to talk to Joe Lyles. I was like, what's true, like what's not, and he helped put all that stuff together and connected all the dots. And so personally, that was a huge thing for me to understand how all that worked. What was his relationship with Johnny Cash? How did they first meet?
That's crazy.
And all of that. And so that was just amazing.
Glad you're here tonight. Here's your gold trophy. And would you like to say something out there to the folks that voted for you? Go right ahead.
Yeah, well, I don't dig these awards, They're just a popularity ripoff and don't have nothing to do with real music.
When I talked to, we would just mostly, when Jim, we would talk, he was mostly just entertaining and like teaching us stuff. And we never, now I will tell you, and I think I did talk about it in the book, the next to last time I saw him when I went to his house with my sister, luckily I worked third shift at the time. So my shift was like 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. So I was used to like staying up late, Yeah. Well, we got there around 5 or 6 o'clock and my sister fixes dinner and we're talking. And I mean, literally he started talking about 6 o'clock when we got there. She went to bed around 9 or 10 o'clock. I don't know, sometime after we ate dinner and stuff. And me and him stayed up until 6 in the morning, like literally 12 hours. She talked to me.
That's awesome.
And like, of course, I couldn't tell you like all that was discussed, but I wish I had a tape recorder or something. But
man.
A lot of stuff, because I think at the time, this was like literally 3 months before he died. And I think he knew he was dying. And I think a lot of it seems like it was just reflecting through his life. And he talked a lot about high school and things that happened then. And just all kinds of stuff. And I would just sit there, just kind of mesmerized by all of it. But I think
it's really endearing too in this book too, because we all have older relatives that have meant a lot to us that maybe are no longer here. And for you to like put all this together about him and then, the audiobook and the documentary, it's just super heartwarming. And it also makes the rest of us look really bad.
Well, I grew up, I think when certain things like, when people would call him like their hero, and you don't think about Ernest as a hero type, right? He's not like Superman or Luke Skywalker. But once I connected with that, because I'm like a huge Superman fan, Christopher Reeve, and when I was connecting, like, hey, these people feel like Ernest the way I feel like Christopher Reeve, like that. It's that's a strong. I mean, that movie was everything to me when I was like 6 years old, and that really just motivated me to want to do the best job possible. And just knowing that all these Ernest fans, I felt like they got the rug pulled out from under them, because all of a sudden he just passed away. And some people didn't even know he was sick. And I wanted to give them something to like substantial that they could really kind of sink their teeth into, like something that real substance. And so
I just want you to know that I changed out of my Superman t-shirt because I didn't want you to think I was a dork.
Easy, miss. I've got you.
You've got me. Who's got you?
You made the biggest mistake. Biggest error.
Go check out our archives. Shout out our Superman episode.
Shout out. Yeah,
great movie.
But you're right, though. I know that like there was a connection with Jim Varney that a lot of people had, and obviously, I feel like you respected that, like in the book, obviously the audiobook, and I think that really comes through because, like you said, the way that you connect with Superman and these larger than life heroes, a lot of us grew up with Jim Varney and Ernest and the characters that he played. Amazing character actor, by the way.
For sure.
Just
so
underrated. And insane talent. And I think a lot of people, he meant so much to a lot of people, and you did that justice. I honestly like,
especially those that you hear, and it's like this. He was also like a Mr. Rogers type, of course. The way he could kind of like talk to. It's like he could just talk to you through the screen. And, many times through the years, we get people talking about how they didn't have the best childhood. And like he would help them through. And that's just so powerful to me and helping them connect with this person that was helping them through a tough part of their life. And that's really endearing and everything. That's
absolutely, it's irreplaceable.
When you talk about Ernest, though, like, you say you found out there's like Ernest was these people's heroes. Like, I feel like as a kid, obviously, like we gravitated towards like macho still. I'm a big pro wrestling fan, so I'm a big pro wrestling nerd. So like Macho Man, like Hogan, all those dudes, right? But like as I get older and I look back and I go back and watch these Ernest movies, he was pure. It was innocent. It was like everything you strive to be as a human being. If you have a decent bone in your body, is what Ernest was. So looking back, you're like, he's the hero. He's the guy you should have tried to be like. Like I can't do an elbow drop off the top rope. I don't know why I thought that was a possibility.
Nothing zero yet.
But like, I mean, but seriously, like he's just going back and watching these movies. He's just all that is pure. It's just I just love that character.
Yeah, he was great. I mean, I know I really gravitated more toward the commercials. By the time, the movies came out, me being a little older, I was kind of beyond, like, I was beyond the kind of demographic they were. In 87, I'm like 15. I mean, I'm watching Beverly Hills Cop and Fletch and all those movies. And so so I really gravitate more toward the commercials, but I could definitely see it in those movies, how he could connect with kids and, it was great. And
what I thought was really clever in the movies, I was actually just watching Ernest Saves Christmas
me too.
A few minutes ago. But they kept that kind of fisheye lens,
wide angle lens,
wide angle lens on a lot of the shots in the movies too. So you still felt that like kind of connection that you got from the commercials. I thought that was really clever.
Yeah. And they still try to incorporate Vern. They were always too scared to ever show Vern because they just knew it was going to, break your,
well, he was like Tim Allen's Wilson, right?
Yeah, your part of the gimmick.
Yeah. I feel like your imagination was the most important part of Vern. Like you as the viewer, like what you thought he was or who he was is.
Can't remember if you talked about it in the book or not, but do you remember I think you mentioned the origin of the wide angle lens or why it was used originally?
It had been used in some other commercials, and I think they just liked the way it just added. I don't know, what was it just like the humor, maybe like the
well, it accentuated his features, right? His kind of large mouth.
Right.
Yeah.
And his nose, which of course they found out that he was, very self-conscious of, right? I mean, any actor that was concerned about their looks, would not want to be in that lens, and he lived in it. So,
was there like a turning point for him where I know he was wanting these like serious roles, like you mentioned James Bond and the more dramatic roles, but was there a turning point for him where he's just like, I'm good at this comedy thing. That's where I need to live. Or did he still was he still in pursuit of those dramatic roles to the end?
He was. And I mean, I think that's one of those things. And I wonder if he would even be able to tell you exactly like his thoughts about all that, because I think it was internal. Like he really fought that. Like I think he loved playing Ernest, but I think he was definitely getting typecast.
Oh, for sure.
And so, but I think to really attempt to do something else, he would have had to cut ties with Ernest completely. Yeah. And I just don't think he was ever willing to do that. And I know at some point also, and I didn't really think about this until later when I talked to Daniel Butler, one of the writers who worked at the agency and everything. But the agency toward the end of the 80s was like really a machine and had lots of people, more people working there. Yeah. And I think he felt also the burden of all these people and their families now depending on Ernest. And like he was, and I was like, I never even thought about that,
Yeah.
And that was probably part of it too. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things too, because, I think he had depression, and I've also had these conversations. I'm thinking, I don't know if he could have survived being a big movie star and going on these sets and locations, these film shoots, all these different places. I don't know how well he would have done without like some real like handlers, because with Ernest, everything was close, and all the commercials, it was Nashville was home, and it was the crew that knew him, so everything was close by, and I just don't know how unless he had sought therapy and medication earlier for all these things, if he would have been able to really be a successful actor and be on these long shoots away from home by himself. I don't know. That would have been very difficult for him, I think.
You mentioned a movie that he did called 100 Proof, where he was a more serious role.
What if I was to bring old Marshall in from back home? You take him out and take care of him tonight?
Yeah.
I cannot find that movie.
Is
that just buried somewhere?
Well, it was just such a small, production that it was like, I don't think it was ever made into a DVD or anything. It was just VHS. So you can find, I do have like a one of the VHS. It's funny because it's so interesting. I think it was been a former rental, and he's only in one scene in the movie.
Oh, okay.
And it's like a 2 or 3 minute scene, and it's a big scene in the movie. But like you're playing this, and where the tape is, where his scene is, the tracking and stuff gets all kind of messed up. So you can tell that scene had been played a bunch of times. Whenever somebody rented it, they were replaying that scene.
Nice.
And I thought that was so awesome to realize that.
Yeah.
Maybe that was his copy of it.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Is that the one that you referenced in the book where I think it was a critic saying that that Jim will probably have more villainous roles in the future?
Yeah, somebody from Variety had said that. Yeah,
I'm glad that Shelby mentioned that, because I wanted to touch on his voice, because he obviously did some voice acting. Obviously, we covered Toy Story a while back on the podcast.
Come on, Potato Head. If Woody says it's all right, then, well, darn it, it's good enough for me.
And he was somebody we mentioned, obviously, as notable, because he just had an incredible, despite all of his acting talent, he also had an incredible voice, something that was really, really unique. And he had a range, I think, that goes to, especially to me, being, like I said, a freelance voice actor. I really appreciate the uniqueness of his voice, and even acting ability in the audio profession.
Yeah, I mean, that was a new niche he was really getting into toward the end of his life, being on The Simpsons.
Ooh, almost. Rats, too hard. Ooh, that was close.
Atlantis.
I got you 4 basic food groups: beans, bacon, whiskey, and lard.
Yes.
Movie right before he passed. And I'm sure he would have continued doing a lot more voice stuff for sure.
Amazing. In today's landscape.
I do wish we could have seen him in a dramatic role, though. It seems like a lot of people that start in comedy really kill it in those roles, like Robin Williams, for example.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it seems like those people also suffer from depression. Not to go in a dark direction on this podcast, but
I mean, I think a lot of comedians, period. You say that.
So you have some celebrity friends that obviously, when you read the book, that kind of blow you away. And again, we're not giving a fraction of what this book is. Can't tell you guys enough. Go buy the book. Go listen to the audio.
Please
buy both of them 3 times. We've demanded it of you. But Johnny Cash, I mean, that's something I had no idea. And then you listen to Leaf's point, his voice, and then you put some clips out. I believe they're from his wedding that you were at, one of his weddings, and then where he's singing.
It could have been a little bit better if we tried a little bit harder. A little truth and understanding is better than fussing and fighting.
And he had that deep country voice that was freaking amazing.
Crazy good, dude.
Hard Rock Lincoln, man.
Yeah. So So to mention the kind of Robin Williams, did you say that he ended up being buddies with Robin a little bit, or?
Yeah, he had met Robin at the Comedy Store there in L.A. So yeah.
So
and there's the behind the scenes footage of them at the Comic Relief there in the 80s.
It could be grainy.
You can bust them.
See, there's another
Shoot
guy.
at them and stuff.
Yeah, you can shoot at them. People, they're used to dropping them and things. That looks better for the documentary footage.
They
Like
tested them in Nam, didn't they?
Uh-oh, things aren't going well. That's always good for documentary.
And people love that. It's like a 3-minute clip.
I couldn't imagine the energy coming off of those two in a room together.
That would be wow, electric.
I read Robin Williams' biography, and something kind of jumped out too, because again, we were talking about Jim and Robin being, such great comedians. Robin also was a collector. And so he collected all kinds of stuff, like they talk about in his book, like he was collecting little action figures or like these little soldiers and things. And you started talking about like, hey man, like Jim collected Rolexes for a while, and it was pocket knives, and then
he had like 4,000 knives, all kinds of knives. Yeah.
Wow. So I wonder if it's just like that comedian brain that does stuff like that, or
I don't know. I know Jim loved history, so I think he liked connecting things, collecting things that connected him to history,
the past.
And so I think he liked the vintage things. He would like the pawn shops and buying something and polishing it up, really respecting the craftsman not, I think for him, it wasn't about buying something flashy that he could show off. It was buying something like, this is like blah, 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 is really, most people wouldn't know, couldn't appreciate, but this was, and he would describe that watch and how it was made and all this stuff. And
Well, another thing that he loved, I want to touch on real quick, was the DeLorean.
Yeah, I was about to say. Let's walk us through this, man. You're one of the few people I know that you got to ride in a DeLorean, right?
Yeah. We rode in the DeLorean. What was funny? It was funny. I mean, funny in a lot of ways. I told you he did commercials for convenient, right?
Yeah.
And so close to my house was the convenient food mart. Well, we ended up going to the Pilot gas station there, which is literally like right beside the convenience. I mean, they're literally, and you think like he would have, but he just he wanted to get, I think he got a little bit of gas and he went in and he got some cigarettes maybe. But as we're driving up there, it wasn't a very long drive, but he's playing this classical music, is blaring it. And it may have been Vivaldi, because I don't remember, but some of the people that were kids from the Ernest Goes to Camp said he was introducing them to Vivaldi. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe that's probably what it was.
Yeah.
So when it's nighttime and we pull up, think about it, you pull up in a DeLorean at the gas station, and he raises both doors. He raises my door, and I'm not even, if I remember correctly, and I'm not even getting out. And this classical music is blaring out of a DeLorean, and Jim Varney's pumping gas. It's like, I mean, it's just crazy.
Classical music coming out of a DeLorean, like maybe it's from a different time.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Right. We may as well,
Yeah. Did he get it? Did he get it from Vivaldi himself?
Did you guys hit 88 miles an hour?
Yeah, we probably could have. I mean, that was amazing. It was an amazing little and that was just Jim. I mean, he was just one of the phrases that has always come to me is he invented his own cool. Like he just would collect stuff dressed the way he wanted, in like his own style. One of the funniest things I think about is, like, I'm not even a fan of this movie, but I just remember the scene. It just reminded me of Jim. And it's Madonna in Desperately Seeking Susan, where she's like this Valley girl, and she goes and I remember she goes to the shop and she dressed, how Valley girls are dressed in like all kinds of different stuff that and she buys something and she just puts it on. It just becomes part of her outfit. She just like, and that was Jim. Like, he would just buy something and like, oh, this is part of a bandana with or like a silk scarf and Indiana Jones hat and a leather jacket. Like that was like, he was, oh, I'll put this on here, and now this is part of my my whole look. And that was just like, that was Jim. I was like a Valley girl in the 80s. Like,
That's amazing.
You know,
when you talk about him and, you know, being a musician, writing songs, you know, several songs published, like me and Leaf's a singer as well. I'm almost a musician. I'm a drummer.
Okay.
So we're almost there, you know, not quite a musician, but so like, but you get this, I related to this itch he had to create where it's like he couldn't, he could have sat on Ernest for the rest of his life if he wanted to, but he was constantly, I want to do music now. I want to write songs. I want to do this now. I want to try this. I want to, like, I just really related with that creativity itch that he had. And he was, again, as a singer, man, if you guys, can you name a couple of songs maybe people could look up that he actually like sang on? I know you mentioned them in the book.
Well, I mean, you know, there's the Hot Rod Lincoln he recorded from the Beverly Hillbillies soundtrack,
right?
Yeah, which was so funny because, you know, he lived in Nashville and was always trying to put a record together for whatever reason, and he recorded a lot on Music Row, and even Jack Clement had Cowboy Jack Clement had a studio that he recorded a bunch of songs in. And he worked with Grant Boatwright, who, you know, was a collaborator of Neil Young's, a buddy of his. But like nothing ever kind of came together ever. But it was in Hollywood where he gets on the soundtrack of this, and that's the only thing he ever really sang on, and that was Hollywood. He lives in Nashville,
but Hollywood wanted to hear it.
He's making movies in Nashville, but recording songs in that
Jim Varney way.
Encapsulate, like that's Jim. Dude. But we have some of his recordings. He was recording some songs that him and his first wife had written and arranged in the 70s that Joe Lyles sent me.
Oh, wow.
So we've got some of those, and I'd like to somehow, Lonnie and I talked about getting all these songs and trying to put them together. His son is does a lot of producing and so forth. So I want to maybe get together and give him all that I have, and it's all about all the rights and everything. But there's a lot of stuff that he was working on and some stuff he recorded that I would love to see the light of day. And that's one reason I posted those pictures of him singing those songs from his wedding. I've had those forever. I recorded those when I was 15 years old at his house, and thankfully, I just knew to just point and just don't be silly, just
hold tight
and be quiet. No silly, dumb narrations. I'd had a joke. I'm like, I'd had a movie camera long enough at that point to know just hold it still. Don't try to make people throw up.
Right. Let Jim be Jim.
Yeah. And I'm like, I just held it steady and like, oh, it's priceless now. Just priceless to have that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I hope that y'all can get that together, because I think like I would love to listen to a collection of that. And it's actually kind of like you talked about the self-publishing or whatever. It's there's a lot of avenues once you get the rights and everything to put that stuff out on Spotify, YouTube, all that stuff.
Sure.
So
Oh yeah. It's just about who own the rights. Because I mean,
it's tricky.
I don't even have the rights to the family doesn't have rights to his name. It went to this Varney Foundation that gives out scholarships, and so I don't even have actual rights to things. So so that makes things a little bit tricky too sometimes.
I was going to ask what happened to those thousands of knives that he had.
Well, there was an auction after he passed that was in Lexington, and a lot of that stuff got auctioned away, which is cool because a lot of big Ernest fans were able to buy a lot.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And his DeLorean was sold recently to a person that's part of our group, our Ernest kind of crew that helps with the webpage, and she's helped with the documentary. Her name is Mo Edwards, and her and her husband bought this DeLorean. They live in Washington, and so it's out there now. But it was in Lexington for a while after she bought it, and we got pictures with it and stuff. But it's pretty cool. It's been restored through the years, and
You mentioned the website. You want to drop that website, and also want to make sure that we get your Twitter handle as well, or X, or whatever it's called now.
I think what is the Facebook page? If you just look for The Importance of Being Earnest, but I think it's I think it's Being Earnest book, Facebook.com/Being Earnest.
I'll find it and put it on here.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah, we'll link it.
And then you're on. I follow you on, or our account follows you on X, and always putting cool stuff on there, man. Always old clips, and I really appreciate that.
Recently kind of got back to doing a lot more on X. Recently, I had a crazy post like a couple months ago where I just retweeted something with a picture of me and Jim from I was on the set of Ernest Scared Stupid.
Nice.
And I didn't even think anything of it. I mean, it was just like, and it went viral, and it got like 1.4 million views. I'm like, dude, of all the things I had tried to get viewed, and that was just an afterthought. I was just, that's a cool clip, and I cropped us out. It was part of a larger picture, and it's not good quality or anything. I was just said, here's me and Jim, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I looked the next day, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing went completely viral.
Never know.
It doubled my followers almost in a day.
Wow.
Which I didn't have a ton to begin with.
Right.
But now I'm kind of taking advantage of that. Like, well, I've got more followers now, and I've been posting maybe 2 to 3 times a day with stuff. And I've got kind of a backlog of things because I hadn't been posting a lot for a while.
So I wanted, when we start to wind this down a little bit, again, we really appreciate your time, but I'm telling you, man, that doc is going to be fire, and I can't wait for it to come out. Like, people, I feel like that one's going to blow up. But one of the last things I want to talk about, and we may get a little spicy on this one, because on our podcast, we have a problem with this. We hate critics. And in your book, the critics being so freaking unfair to Jim, and like, why even review a comedy if you're just a snood and a snob, and you're going to be like, obviously you're, 30 or 40 years old as a critic, you're not going to want to go watch a kid's movie. It's not for you, but you're going to bash it anyway. Like, I don't know. I'm sure he never shared that anger specifically with you, but I know you talked to some other people about how that kind of left an impact on him, right?
I'm sure it did. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, like, there was one I mentioned that he called Jim a grotesque figure. I mean, I mean, imagine being called a grotesque figure. I mean, that's just unreal. Now, like, I've always grown up. I really love Siskel and Ebert, and but it was funny what Roger Ebert had said about, I think it was Ernest Scared Stupid, like that it was the first Ernest movie. He admitted it was the first Ernest movie he had ever seen. And then he, I forget what the review was. It wasn't very good, but then he said he could imagine liking it if he was like 8 years old. And then I'm like, well, that's the whole point.
That's a demographic.
There you go. And so I thought that was kind of funny that he put that. I'm like, well, I think
it was the grotesque one that made my blood boil when I read that. I'm like, why are these like, I want to go back. We've talked about it on the podcast before. I want to go do a win-loss record on like people that have these critical takes, and then the movie takes off and does well, and be like, well, like you're a critic and you're 4-12 on the season, so maybe we won't listen to you anymore.
I was watching the new Eddie Murphy documentary, and he was talking about how the critics, like, they gave him a Razzie. I'm like, come on.
Well, the craziest thing about Jim, I mean, this was so cool to me because he gets a Razzie. He's nominated for a Razzie for Ernest Scared Stupid, right?
I didn't know that.
And nominated, and then the next year he wins an Emmy for Ernest in the TV show. So I mean, how has that ever happened, especially in consecutive years?
No.
The same one character is nominated for a Razzie and wins an Emmy, that character, the next year. The same actor playing that same character.
That's like that's like the Braves going worst to first.
Which actually, I forgot. We'll mention this. We'll start to wind down, but I totally missed Jim being like the Braves mascot for a year or whatever, right? Isn't that like where?
Well, yeah, they thought like him being in the South that he could help raise ticket sales, and it just, I mean, think about it. You can advertise a product that's a good product, but a sports franchise, if you're not winning, I mean, it's like it's what are you going to do? I mean, you can help to get your butts in the seats, but if you're not winning, that's the ultimate. What do you know?
That was Turner too, wasn't it? When that Ted Turner, that was one of his moves, is he was trying to. That sounds like a Turner move.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know how much he was involved. You know, that's a good question. I didn't even think about how much if he was involved with that decision.
Because he would do. I remember reading docs and stuff on Turner. Like early on, he was just trying anything and everything to get butts and seats or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Do you have a final count on how many commercials he did?
We've often asked about that, you know, in the documentary, because they threw around a lot of numbers.
Yeah.
The highest that I'd heard is like 4,000. I know it was definitely. I think it was definitely in the thousands. But like you talking about the forget which one of y'all talking about that you kind of forgot about the commercials.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what's really interesting is you could really make the statement like you could argue that he was just as big a commercial phenomenon as he was any kind of a movie star or whatever. That I don't think people realize it's not just another actor that quote like got their start in commercials like so many actors do, like modeling, you know, commercials. Like no. He didn't get a start in, you know, it's not. He was a legitimate like commercial phenomenon for years before Ernest Goes to Camp. I mean, they had a fan club. He was on all the major networks, Good Morning America. Yeah. It was a whole thing before the first movie ever came out.
I can't think of anyone else that's done a character that did commercials for so many different brands. You know, you got Kevin Hart, you know, doing stuff but that's not a character. That's just cash grab. Well, he's a character himself, but as far as like, you know, playing Ernest,
how
many different brands?
I mean, dozens. I mean, I guess brand and then like industries, right? You know, it can be the food marts, the car dealerships.
I remember
gas companies. I mean, dairies.
It's funny. It's funny about the car dealership because I think that's why I thought he was local, because the way it was shot reminds me a lot of. There was this. What was the thing around here, Chris, with the guy in the chicken suit?
The I got it guy? Yeah. But that's what it's the commercial felt like that because, and you said it was like, you know, more or less necessity being the mother of invention for them on that, where it was like,
exactly,
hey, that's what they had to use. But then it made everybody be like, no, that Ernest dude is from my town.
He's from here.
Yeah. So I'm going to go buy a car from this dealership. But
the other thing that if you remember that came on, and this is maybe more in the 90s, is when big companies would come into your town, like let's say Speedway, all of a sudden they're like, hey, come into the Speedway and meet Chris. Chris is the manager. You know, they're like starting to personalize these companies coming into your town. Yeah. Because that shows, you know, we're not some slick out of town company. You know, Chris works here and Chadwick will, you know, pump your gas and, you know, he's, you know, and it's like, oh, look, they're just like us, right? You know, and so but Ernest had nailed that years earlier, right? I mean, without even really trying. So
100%, man. So we'll go ahead and we won't take up any more of your time, Justin. We can't thank you enough.
I'm going to ask one more thing. I'm sorry.
Sure.
But I've talked about this on the podcast ad nauseum. I'm really into like supernatural phenomenon stuff.
Okay.
You talked very briefly in the book about him thinking that his house was haunted. Was that more of a joke, or did he really think that?
I think he was into a lot of those things. I mean, like his first girlfriend, somebody that I interviewed that I talked to quite a bit, Julianne Pogue, that he was into like very much like spiritual elements of life and like the Wicca stuff, because the necklace he wears, I think, is like the that pendant from the Wiccan stuff, that he was into that for a while. And of course, a lot of people, they see that and they're like, "Oh, did Ernest worship the devil?" I knew that necklace would get some traction because I was worried a little bit about that.
Well, especially especially in the 80s, like back then, I know people like we're a nostalgia podcast. Obviously, people don't remember like the Satanic Panic and things of that nature. So the rumors probably flew with all that kind of stuff, and he was probably just one of many things he was looking into, and
But he was into. I mean, but he would be into some of that kind of spiritual kind of stuff, the Wicca stuff, and so I'm sure he probably did maybe think about that. And I think too, I remember Coke Sam's a friend of his that was a producer director on the films and commercials, would talk about being on Jim's property and Jim wondering about how there was some Civil War tombstones on his grave on his property there, and him kind of thinking about any battles that might have been around his area and that kind of thing. And he just really loved history too. Yeah. And so it all just kind of.
Do you know if he ever made it over to the Chickamauga battlefield?
I don't.
It's down here. Yeah, it's close. It's close to Chattanooga. It's a huge. It's a national park.
I do have one more loaded question before we get off here that I actually almost forgot about, man. So I wanted to get your opinion. So obviously, Jim Varney is your uncle. There has been this massive influx of AI recreating things with celebrities that have passed away. More famously, Robin Williams' daughter said recently she's like, stop making things with my dad. Have you seen any of these things pop up yet? And if you have, or if you haven't, obviously when that doc comes out, it's probably on the way. Like, do you have a feeling on that at all?
I've seen a few. I think it's, I guess more than anything, it shows how popular that character still is, that there's like this want of to see what the character would be like today.
Right.
And it's a way for people to kind of create that themselves. So, it doesn't really anger me or anything. I just think it's one of those inevitable kind of things that they're just using, the technology now to put something in probably to, and to get clicks and things too, and some of that kind of stuff.
So you don't think it's like malicious then? What you're saying is you just think that it's more of like people wanting more of maybe Ernest or the character, or
I think so. At least what I've seen, that didn't strike me as malicious. I think some of it's just more silly, because I see all kinds of silly AI stuff.
Right.
It's more just humorous, just crazy, silly stuff.
That's actually the reason I asked you earlier if someone still owns the rights to the Ernest character, because we're to the point now where they could create new commercials through AI, and with that,
Mr. Varney going to sue somebody.
I would love to see some of these companies like throw out like a vintage commercial, like what they've done before, like Sprite and so forth, right? They could just run an old Sprite commercial with Ernest.
Hey, Vern, boy, I'm sure glad you switched from that Uncola. Sprite's everything that stuff is. Clear, clean, caffeine-free, but Sprite tastes better, because only Sprite has liming. Know what I mean?
I 100% agree with what you just said, and I'm glad you brought that up, because the nostalgia part of us is, I think it goes really deep, and especially nowadays, I think a lot of what people imbibe are copies of copies of copies a lot of times, and I think that the authentic commercials, especially from Jim Varney's time, are desperately wanted more than people realize. So I think that's great what you just said, because I think that would be extremely popular.
Imagine this. I was just thinking, imagine the Super Bowl. You're watching, and a Sprite ad comes on with a vintage Jim Varney Sprite.
Dude, I'd tear up, man. I'm not gonna lie, man.
And then lucky for both fan bases on this podcast, we won't have to worry about either team being in said Super Bowl this year.
True, exactly. That's true.
Niners and Cowboys ain't happening this year, guys. So
you're just looking, you're just watching to laugh at the commercials. Then.
Exactly. So this is what we want. Super Bowl commercials. We want the vintage Jim Varney Sprite commercial now. So anyway, Justin, again, thank you so much for joining us. As a parting question, pleasure. I've got to ask. We'll go around the horn. Justin, you can answer last.
Sure.
Favorite Ernest movie? I'll go first. Mine's going to be Ernest Scared Stupid. Leaf?
I'm going to agree with you. Ernest Scared Stupid is definitely one I think that sort of defined our childhood. Watched it every time it came on TV. But I want to give a special shout out to Jim Varney's portrayal of Jed Clampett.
He's going to be a very happy woman.
Well, thank you, ma'am.
And all women know happiness is hard to find.
Excuse me?
He did such a good job. Like Jim Varney's Jed Clampett was insanely good.
Except, what was the original character's or the actor's name?
Buddy Epson.
Buddy Epson.
Yeah.
He said he wasn't sure about Jim's wee doggies.
Yeah.
Really? Was that not? Was that he didn't think they were authentic? Huh?
It was great.
Come on, man.
Chadwick, what do you got? Favorite Ernest movie?
Oh, it's Ernest Goes to Camp for sure for me. Which I've mentioned this to the guys. I can't find that movie on streaming anywhere. I pay plenty of money to Disney every month for all their streaming services. So I want my Ernest Goes to Camp. Damn it!
Yeah.
Justin, man, can you pick one? Is there one that stands out to you?
I mean, I realize the first four, are they're all so close for me, right? Jail and Camp and Christmas, but I probably maybe for me a slight edge to Christmas. I love Christmas movies. I love the Santa Claus and that and everything. But they're all of those first four. But I will also add that the family album to me was really the thing is my favorite overall, probably. In him doing the Lloyd Worrell character, the meanest man in the world, his uncle, and this Davy Worrell character.
Again, Justin, thank you so much for joining us, man. And guys,
my pleasure.
Make sure you go buy this book. Go check out the audiobook. And when the documentary comes out, tell them Be Kind, Let's Rewind sent you. All right, man. Again, big shout out to Justin Lloyd. Again, be sure go buy Importance of Being Earnest. Go check out the audiobook and please go see that documentary when it drops to get your Jim Varney fix.
We'll include all of his social media links, so make sure you click on those. Yes. Follow him on X and all the other platforms. Amazing guy.
Amazing. So generous with his time, man. And we would also like you guys to go check out our Patreon. Go visit our Patreon. It's free to join. If you you can listen to the audio version of the podcast on there for free and keep up to date. We will release a lot of free content on there, or you can pay for higher tiers if you want some behind the scenes, some stuff a little too spicy, or perhaps when me or Leaf gets something wrong and we cut it out. So that also goes on there, man.
That never happens. I don't know what you're talking about. I never make that mistake.
I thought I was wrong one time and it turned out I wasn't.
Chadwick just carried on with his life, man. So again, thanks for joining us, man. And with that, we'll take it over to our Norm Macdonald clip of the week.
Meanwhile, Bob Dole brought his struggling presidential campaign to New Jersey, vowing, in his words, to prove Yogi Berra was right when he said, "It ain't over till it's over." Reached for comment, Yogi Berra said, "It's over."